Today, you have all the advantages of having very, very low cost commissions and or spreads. And I know some of you complain about that. Oh, this spread's too high. You're spoiled. you're you're absolutely spoiled. You have no idea what it was like to trade 30 years ago. You have no idea, no conceptual appreciation for the advantages that you have today. So when you have this inclination to want to complain about how the industry is this and that, you have such a wonderful, cheap, inexpensive approach to getting in this industry. Whereas, back then it was a lot more expensive. So time is a crucial factor in consistency, longevity, and success. Meaning that you need to know what you're looking for. Why do the setups, or why should the setups form? What's the basis or premise behind the setups? Like, what makes your trade idea that you're about to take, or what you're stalking or hunting, what makes it viable? Is it something that's, built on your impulsive tendencies to just look for something? Or is it rooted in something that's sound in logic? I want to touch on a couple things in this discussion. I don't believe we're going to go very long. And I usually say that in the past, and we go for hours and hours, but I don't want to kill the gems in this particular chapter, but I want to kind of give you an idea of like what is it I'm going to be talking about in these books, kind of like bringing together all the conceptual ideas I've taught, and even my own older students, they have been made aware of, and I've taught some things with them as well. But taking these conceptual ideas and making them into a model, I've said this many times in the past, I could make a model every single day, 365 days a year, and they would all be uniquely different from one another, all using the content that's already on my YouTube channel. Now that sounds like an exaggeration, but I assure you it's not. Because what you think a model is right now, if you're new, or you have a trading model that already makes money for you, and maybe you've been trading before, finding me, discovering me, or parking yourself down into a Twitter space like this for the first time. And you might think, well, I have a trading plan. I have this, I have that. I look for all these things to come in agreement. And therefore, I now look for a trade entry. Well, that's wonderful. You're not my audience, but you're welcome to be here and sit in and, share some time together. My audience is the individual that has been introduced to the idea of my order block theory, my fair value gap. Now, like since February, the interest in new week opening gaps, new day opening gaps, breakers, and all the other PD arrays that you've been made aware of. And you probably feel like there's probably one better than the rest. I want to learn that one. If ICT could just sit down in a Twitter space or do a YouTube presentation or do a live stream and say, okay, if I were going to just tell you the best of the best and get right down to the nitty gritty where the rubber meets the road, this is the only thing that you would ever need to do. That doesn't exist, because they're all equally effective to me. Now, from a mentor's perspective, I found that certain PD arrays and certain particular models are a little bit easier, more palatable for students, whether there have been a long duration of time spending, under my wing as an educator, or if they just recently discovered me like 21 or 22 or this year. And that being like the 2022 model, and now the silver bullet that I released on Twitter. And I have a lecture coming for that as well. As a reminder, I have a lecture for the new week opening gap that'll be on YouTube channel tonight at 10 p.m. And on tomorrow, Sunday, May 7th, 2023, I'll have a presentation for new day opening gap. And someday this week, I don't know how my schedule is going to allow me to do it, but I'll have the silver bullet AM and PM session model so that way you can have the rules for that and go off and have some fun with that as well. What is a time-based need or influence in trading? Well, let's think about it like this. Maybe you have a job right now. Maybe you have a job that you go to And or maybe you're older and you've retired, or maybe trading has been an allowance for you to no longer have to work anymore. But you know what it was like to be in rush hour traffic, right? In the States, in the United States, we have generally two times of the day where it's considered rush hour, and you don't want to be on the busy highways and byways because they'll be congested. They are typically in the morning, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, and in the evening time or afternoon, it's 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Those 2 hours in both morning and evening session, if you're looking at traffic like trading, that is scheduled congestion. That's scheduled volume. You can set a clock to it. You know it's going to be there. And if you travel, like I like to do, I don't fly. I used to fly. I don't fly anymore. I was told not to do so, and I'm not doing it. And I'll let you figure out what that means. But I'm not going up in the air. I have no business going up there anymore. But the idea is this: you can set a clock to volume in trading as well, just like traffic. You know when rush hour in the morning is going to occur. You know where rush hour is in the afternoon. Well, the same thing occurs in trading. And I want you to think about the importance of knowing when there is going to be scheduled volume inflows. What does that mean? Certain times of the day, there is a reasonable expectation that there's going to be a lot of interest to be trading. That's at the beginning of the trading sessions, being like London, New York session AM, or for Forex traders, New York open kill zone, and or the London close session for Forex traders, or the lunch hour for index trading. And then you have the PM session, which is 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So you can anticipate setups that will form within those little specific time windows. Now, as an educator, every time I have ever released something new, if we were to look at the flock, the herd, if you will, that follows any educator, and we're going to talk about just me in this instance, whenever I release something new, okay, or if I share something that builds on more understanding about a particular asset or a model or a PD array, something that gets everybody excited, it's almost like they want to forget everything that they've already learned and they only want to just do that. This is the thing. Now he's been holding out this long. Now he's releasing this. This is the magic bullet. Okay, you've been taught the silver bullet. Now this is the magic bullet. Whatever. I'm obviously speaking rhetorically. And unfortunately, that's not a good thing. And it may not feel like it's a good thing at the time. It feels like the right thing because impulsiveness in humans is what it is. You feel like that this is the thing you're looking for. This is the thing I've been looking for all this time. And that may be true for some of you. Some of you, when you get to that 2022 model, that are, in my opinion, are very simple rules that lead to a consistent setup that is very easy to see. It's conceptually pleasing because it doesn't demand a lot of moving parts. It's rule-based. And as long as you can see where liquidity is above old highs or below old lows, and you have a bias, something on a higher time frame basis, you can use that model and be very consistent with it. And once the trade pans out, you stop and there's nothing else to think about, nothing else to worry about. The problem is some of you aren't content with that and you want more. And I want to kind of like pull you back, okay? Pulling the reins on you because you get a little too wild sometimes. You want to do more than what's necessary. And time helps control that. So what do we mean by that? In the beginning of your trading, when you're looking for consistency and continuity in your trading and not over trading, not being impulsive, not trying to react to price, you want to be anticipating it. Okay, professional traders, they are not surprised by the events in market action. They're not. I know that sounds impossible. I know that sounds like, come on, nobody knows this stuff, ICT. Nobody can know it in advance. Well, around here we do. And my students prove it without me holding them. They're trading markets I don't even trade anymore. And they're doing exceedingly well. So that means they've learned this concept, this mindset, this approach to trading, and they're independently doing it apart from me. So you can join the ranks. That's the very thing I'm doing here, is trying to make you an independent thinking and price action engaging trader. So that way you're not needing me to handhold you. I don't want to do that. I don't do that, and I don't sugarcoat anything. It's going to be a lot of effort for you to figure out what your model is. And unfortunately, there is no mold to press you into. If it was, I could be turning out traders like this every day. But unfortunately, the factors that bring with trading as a human being, you have character flaws. And you have to limit the exposure in these charts and these markets because your natural impulses, which are always going to be negative, the negative is going to overwhelm the few times that you are in the beginning doing the right things at the right time. And it only takes a small series of events that you did wrong with a mindset that was incorrectly, well, focusing on things that aren't that big of a deal. Worrying about which model's better. This guy's posting that he got a payout from this company and he's doing it consistently. What's he doing or what is she doing that I'm not doing? Well, they're minding their own business, number one. They're doing what it is that matches their personality. And I've said this before, and when I first heard this idea expressed by Larry Williams, he had a keynote speaking engagement that I had a VHS tape of in the 90s. And when I first heard him talk about it, it just went over my head like, that's not interesting. Give me an entry pattern. Much like some of you. And that's why I get it. I understand that people that will say you talk too much, get to the point, because what you want is give me the easy 1, 2, 3 entry pattern that's going to work most of the time, which means always, and it never has a losing trade. And I'm going to be able to over leverage because it will work, and I can trust that I can over leverage the maximum amount of contracts that my broker will allow me or my funded account company will allow me to trade, and then I'll be able to get these 5-figure, 6-figure payouts, and I can go on social media and I can act like a warrior and call everybody out and do this and do that, and I can make a name for myself. And that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, folks. You need to have this same approach or mindset about trading that you do with traffic. If you were going to go away on a trip and you were doing a road trip driving, are you going to plan your departure during the peak of rush hour traffic? No, you're not. When would you likely do it? Well before it happens. That way you can get through the congested, scheduled traffic jams around high congested cities. And then when you get past it, the same thing. After the lunch hour, or I'm sorry, after the rush hour of 9 o'clock in the morning in the States, wherever you are, there's traffic, yes, but it's not congested or bunched up. You can have a pretty easy movement from one location to the next, unless there's an accident or something like that. Well, that same thing should be applied to your trading. Do you want to go in at the very opening of, say, for instance, 9:30 a.m.? If you're brand new to trading, you don't know what you're doing. That's equivalent to you being a new driver. Do you want to be going out there over the speed limit, texting while you're driving in rush hour? What's that recipe for? Disaster. Okay, I got a guy over here cutting a tree down, so that's not going to sound good on this recording. So let's take it inside here. Some of you are like, I don't care, just talk. And others are like, yeah, we don't like these birds chirping, dude. Give me a second. Give me some edit work for those that want to put these up on their YouTube channel. All right, so you don't want to schedule your trading, if you're brand new, at the very opening, like the first minute or two of trading, because you know that now everybody's in there dog piling in to take trades. So you think everybody in there is going to be pushing the market up because of their buying pressure, or they're going to be sending the market lower because of their selling pressure. And again, that's all misinformation, that you're all trying to do something at their incorrect time. And that compounds the likelihood of you wrecking. Just like in traffic as a new driver, you don't do all those high speed maneuvers when you're inexperienced. You don't distract yourself with social media during your driving or in your trading. That means keeping up with everybody else. You need to be minding your own business and watching where you're traveling.